Okay, we can now go back to our top story, and that's the second anniversary of the death of the former North Korean leader Kim Jong-Il. John Svensson-Wright is a senior fellow with the Asia program at Chatham House, and he now joins us live from Seoul. It's always difficult to know what is happening inside North Korea, but what we do know and what they do make public is the removal of certain people that once stood steadfast by Kim Jong-il and started off with Kim Jong-un, but no longer are the picture. Most popularly and prominently, it's his uncle that was recently very publicly executed. And about a year ago, the top general. Do we know what is happening in this reshuffle and who's taking their place?
We don't know exactly who's replacing them, but we do know that this is a very deliberate attempt, I think, by Kim Jong-un to do what he's been trying to do for the last 2 years, which is emphasize that he is the man in charge, that his power is unbrooked and unchallengeable. But the very public way and the very brutal way in which he removed his uncle, I think, raises legitimate questions about whether he'll be able, in the long term, to maintain that sense of authority. Because it has to be said, by removing somebody from his own family, in a way he's challenged the logic of the North Korean state, which is based on the principle of family rule, of dynastic succession. And even though Jang Song-Thaek was a relative only by marriage rather than by blood, I think it's raising questions for ordinary North Koreans about what may be happening at the very top of their system. Questions which, of course, won't be highlighted in public, but I think privately many North Koreans will be skeptical about this change.
Now, as you're speaking there, we're seeing live pictures of this ceremony taking place to mark the second anniversary of Kim Jong-il's death. And there's Kim Jong-un sitting there watching on. It would be a good time to take this moment to assess what Kim Jong-un is doing. Would you say he said he wants economic progression? He's removed people that were stalwarts in his father's cabinet. Would you say he is changing the way North Korea is being run, or is this all just a show for the rest of the world?
I think it's very much part of the North Korean playbook, what some people have described as the theatre state, a state that uses this sort of public spectacle to demonstrate its authority and the so-called one-hearted unity of the North Korean people, the sense of cohesion across all ranks of society. Kim Jong-un himself has, of course, in the 2 years he's been in power, in a sense gone out on a limb and said to his own people that he will deliver economic prosperity. And that sets a very high bar for him in terms of success. It's also the key to his long-term legitimacy in the eyes of his people. Jang Song-Thaek was seen by many as an economic reformer. Removing him from a position of authority and executing him, while it has raised some immediate doubts about Kim's commitment to economic reform, I think in the long term won't really challenge or change the way the government seeks to reach out to the outside world to develop those economic connections. Mm-hmm. And that's partly because the state has no choice but to try and develop economically.
Okay, John Svensson-Wright, good to speak to you. Thank you very much.